Hello there, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Kumi. I will be showing you how to cut and sew this shirt today. This is the fabric I would be using. It is crepe. I have come down by 1 inch from the rough edge downward as it's my culture. That becomes my starting point. This 14.5 is the half length of my client, and 8 inches away from that 14.5 is a hip line, and this is 2 inches wide. It's going to be for button overlap. Of course, this is the front piece. I'm going to mark a shoulder measurement plus 0.5 inch that I will use to attach the shoulder to the sleeve. I'll be using 2.5 inches for the width of the neckline, and because I will use this to also cut the back, so I will place the back neck depth on it, which is 0.5 inch. I'm going to give the region a curve. Can you see 2.5 by 0.5? The depth of the back neckline is going to be 0.5, but the width is 2.5. I'll come down by 1 inch here for our shoulder slope. I'm going to connect like this, and then I will add 0.5 inch for sewing allowance. You will join your shoulder, right? So this 0.5 is going to be for the joining. Divide your client's bust by 6 and add 1.5 inch to it. That's how to know how deep your armhole will be. So I'm just going to confirm if what I have up here. I just realized I didn't add 0.5 inch to the shoulder measurement. That's what I added. So it's always good to confirm your measurements. Can you see? Our shoulder measurement is 15.5. This is 15.5, and then this is 0.5 inch that I'll use to attach it to the sleeve. So I will not be using a bust measurement. I will be using a hip measurement. So a hip divided by 4 plus 0.5. That's what I will use here as well. A hip is 40. 40 divided by 4 gives me 10, plus 0.5 gives me 10.5. So I'll mark 9.5 at a hip line, waistline, sorry, just because I want it curvy a little. So I will come right here. I'll come up by 3, and then I'll come in by 0.5 inch, which is the sewing allowance that I gave it. So if your own sewing allowance is 1 inch, come in by 1 inch. Do you understand? So I'm going to curve it like this. Please note the placement of my ruler. I want it really curvy, so that's why I placed it like this. So we are going to give this region a curve based on our bust size. First you will locate the midpoint, and then based on our bust size, we are supposed to come in by 0.7, and then you give it a curve like this. Because we are working with the front and back piece, I will just do it like this. The back neckline, back armhole is not always as deep as the front. So now we can cut. Don't forget to always sustain your fabric with pin. So this is front piece. Like I said, I'm going to make it 0.5 inch wider than the back. I've already calculated it. If divided by 4 plus 0.5, right? And I'm adding additional 0.5 inch. ease to it. I will tell you why as we proceed in this tutorial. So we're just going to cut. I use the hip measurement for a bust region. Whenever I want to make shirts, I don't like to use exact bust measurement. You would notice that the button will always split open at the bust region. So I like the bust region to always be free whenever I'm making shirts. That's why I use that hip measurement for that place. But if you are working with someone who has a very huge difference between the hip and the bust, you can just maybe add extra 2 inches to the bust region. This is going to be the depth of the front neckline. I'll be using 6 inches, and then I will extend the 2.5 in width downward, and I'm just going to connect like this. She doesn't want a neckline to be too wide or too deep rather, so that's why I'm using 6, but you can go as far as 7. I wouldn't advise that you go more than 7. So I'll come up here by 2.5. I just realized that I didn't measure this region well. I placed my tape here on the neckline and not the starting point. So I'm just going to place it here again and measure 6.5. I'll confirm my 6.5 here and I'll connect together. So I'm going to come in here by 1 inch, but I later reduced it to like 0.75 when I remembered that she doesn't exactly want her neck to be wide. So I'm going to connect like this. I'm just trying to draft my front neckline too before I trim off the back neckline. You know, by the time I trim off the neckline and I trim off the shoulder, um, I wouldn't really be able to see my starting line again. So I've trimmed it off. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that it wasn't being recorded. So I'm going to place this on a fresh piece of fabric. So I will be cutting the back piece off, and because the back is not going to have button allowance, so we are going to start our cutting from, or should I say our placement from that we are going to be excluding 2 inches button allowance from it, and that 0.5 inch that I added, that extra that I added to it by the side, we are going to remove it. So trim off the back neckline. This is the shoulder, this is the armhole. Can you see? So I'm going to take off, can you see this region? I'm going to take off the front piece. So, and then I'm going to remove the 0.5 inch extra that I added to the front piece from the back. So I don't know if you will understand. Have you ever noticed that um sometimes after your that button allowance, after they've overlapped, you realize that the front piece is now smaller than the back? I don't know if it has ever happened to anyone. That's the reason why I give extra half inch to the front piece. So by the time the button allowance overlap, they are going to overlap with that extra half inch that I gave it. By the time you add that half inch together, it's going to become 1 inch. So, and you know, it's just one of the button allowance that would rest on the other. So after resting on the other, it would have consumed that 1 inch extra, that 0.5 inch that we gave both piece. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to explain. Let me just leave you to the moment and explain that much later. So um I'll be cutting facing for my front piece. I just remember that I haven't trimmed the front armhole. So let's just proceed. I'll trim off the neckline like this, and you cut through like this. Don't forget that the front armhole is always deeper than the back armhole, so that's why I trimmed that place off. I just want to reduce. I don't want the facing to go beyond the armhole, so I'm just going to reduce it like this. So this is the facing we have. If you are cool with this, you can go ahead by all means, but I would like to reduce mine. I will mark 2 inches, our button allowance. I'll connect together. This is just to help me know where my paper stay will stop. As you can see, I'm going to place my facing like this, and I'm going to stitch. Please don't stitch the shoulder, just the neckline. So I have stitched the neckline, I notched, and then I overlocked. If you also take a close look at the hem of my facing, you would notice that I've overlocked it as well. There is a rule that female buttons always face the left, while male buttons always face the right. I don't know who made it, but if you have a shirt nearby, you may want to take a look. You would realize that your buttons are facing the left side for females now. So I'm going to place it like this. So the one on the right is going to be is the part that is going to be doubled, while the one on the left we are just going to fold it like this and stitch. So as for this, I have cut a piece that is 2.5 inches wide, and it's the same length with the shirt. So I'll just fold it like this, and I have stitched this like I said, and look at it. So I will just trim it. So looking back now, this piece that I'm holding is the part that is even supposed to carry paper stay, and not the my main fabric. But it's okay. This main fabric, this part that I'm folding, won't be the part to carry the button hole. It's the other part that will carry the button hole. So that should have been the part that would actually have paper stay or air stay, or whichever you choose to use. But I'm just saying this in case you're making yours. So this is what it's going to look like when you overlap them. This is what you are going to have. So you can see that it's the second part of this flap that we have buttonhole. So that should have been the part that would have um paper stay. I miscalculated. The upper part is just for mere decoration, so it doesn't exactly need paper stay. I will just go ahead and place the back piece on the front piece with the right side of the two pieces facing each other. I mean the right side of the front piece facing the right side of the back piece. Don't forget to secure with your pin and stitch with 0.5 inch or whatever sewing allowance you are giving yours. So take a look at these two pieces. You will see that having stitched the two together, they are equal. So I have folded it into four. You can see that they are equal now. So that 0.5 inch extra that I gave the front piece, when opened up, becomes 1 inch. 0.5 inch on both sides of the piece. The front piece is into two. Okay, let me do it this way. That button allowance that we gave it is supposed to be like this, but because of that 0.5 inch that I gave the sides of the front piece, that 0.5 inch in two places makes it 1 inch. That's what this is overlapping with. Do you understand? So the essence of that extra 1 inch that I gave it the other time is for the overlap of the button allowance. You can stitch your shoulder like this, but then there is a more honorable way of stitching it. So you are going to see where we've turned the neckline of the front, so the back piece will definitely be wider now. So give it a notch like this. I don't know if you can see well. I have placed it like this, so this is where the front neckline now stops. So I notch the back neckline at that region. So I'm going to stitch like this. So I feel I should give you a closer look. So this is what we have, right? Push it down like this and flip over like this. Then stitch with 0.5 inch. Meanwhile, you can stitch like this. You can stitch like this and overlock like this and overlock. But it is neater if you do it like this. So just trim the excess here so it doesn't budge. So this is what I want us to achieve. Instead of overlocking the shoulder, you can have it like this. I don't know if you understand what I did there. We have done this a couple of times in my previous tutorials. So I have done that for the other shoulder as well. Now we are left with the sleeve. Meanwhile, I have talked extensively on how to attach the sleeve. So I will just skip that in this tutorial. I have overlocked the hem of this shirt and I'm just going to stitch closely. So sometimes when I buy ready to wear foreign wears, I take a close look at how their stitchings are being done, and as time goes on I try to incorporate them into my project. So that's where I saw this method. Our shirt is almost ready. We are left with the collar. Can you see that beautiful neckline? Look at the sleeve. So to make the collar, I will first measure round just the back piece. I will first measure round, so I have 6.5. So that's what I would be working with. But before I proceed, I'm going to fold the back neckline and give it a notch. So can you see? um I'll be using 2.5 inches wide, and then I measured my neck round. I measured it relaxed. So that's the length I am using. So going to cut like the neck, the length of this piece is the circumference of my neckline. So fold it like this and just give this region a little curve. Some people don't curve it, but it's finer. So stitch it a little. Repeat this process on the other edge of this piece, and don't forget to notch. Don't forget to also iron your paper stay on it. I forgot again. Don't forget to do that. So at the midpoint, can you see? I have stitched. So at the midpoint here, I will place my tape. Remember when I measured the neckline, the back neckline around, I had 6.5, right? So 6.5 divided by 2, that gives me 3.25 here. So I've measured 3.25 on both sides of the notches that we of the notchings that we gave the center of this piece. So 3.25 on the left, 3.25 on the right. So that 3.25, give it a notch. Come here and give it a notch as well. So don't forget to iron your paper stay. I had to find a way to later do that. So just going to trim. It covered my notching, so I'm just going to reopen my notch and all. So I'm going to place it like this. The center of the neck collar directly on top of the center of my neckline. So if you calculated the circumference of your neckline accurately, this notching should rest on your shoulder joining. So pin it right here. You are going to align the second notching on the other side of the shoulder as well. So stitch to the right, from the center to the right, and then from the center to the left. I'm going to notch. When you stitch on curvy regions, it is advisable that you notch. So the next I'm going to do, still starting from the center, I'm going to fold in by about quarter of an inch. Can you see? So that our notching allows for flexibility. You are going to fold, can you see? You are going to fold in on both sides by about quarter of an inch. So what I want to achieve is that by the time I'm done folding in, I want to have not more than 1 inch width of collar. That's why I used 2.5, so that I will just use quarter of an inch to fold it, and then I'll be left with 1 inch. So do the same, repeat the same process here. This is what we have. When overlapped, this is what you have. Place your first button. The side, the let's say my buttons stop here. What do you have altogether? I have 10.5. So after the first button, let me try 3.5. 3.5. 3.5. So 3.5 is okay. So I'm going to mark it well now. 3.5 is okay. So after the first button, mark your preferred spacing, 3.5, 3.5, and then my button stops here. I will go ahead and place my buttons. Just imagine that they've been attached and then the button O is intact. When overlocked, this is what you're going to have. The second flap is going to conceal the buttons. This is the hem of the shirt. This is what I was trying to describe the other time. I have attached my buttons and this is what they look like. Next is my recommendation and a little advice to you. This is the first shirt that I made and the width of the neckline is 3 inches. Take a good look at the neckline and you would notice that it is not as cute as this. This is what we just finished doing and the width is 2.5. Can you see how relaxed the collar is? It is quite different from that first one that I made. So while you can go as deep as you want when it comes to the depth of the neckline, I would recommend, in fact, I would strongly recommend that you do not go beyond 2.5 inches width. So guys, this is my shirt. I made it myself. This is what my client saw that made her order as. And yes, this is that shirt whose neckline is 3 inches wide. Two lessons that I learned from making my shirt. First, don't go wider, but you can go deeper. Don't go wider than 2.5, but you can go as deep as you want it to be. Talking about the depth of the neckline now. Um and for decency's sake, if you don't want your cleavage to show, don't go deeper than 7 inches. What I have right here is 7 inches. The second lesson is to give your bust region a reasonable ease allowance. What I have right here is exactly my bust, I think with 0.5 inch ease allowance, which obviously was not enough. The consequence of this is that the buttons at my bust region constantly kept splitting open, almost revealing my inner wear. So I had to be adjusting it with my hand. With this, we've come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you need further clarification, why not? Leave me comment in the comment section and I'll respond. Bye for now.